My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Transport Fever 2. This is episode 5 of the O Canada Let's Play series, and we're starting this episode sat at the cargo freight yard that is serving the 4 industries that form part of the Calgary Industrial Estate, which is just across the river from the centre of Calgary itself. In the previous episode, what we did is we had our trucks that were ferrying the wheat from Cochrane Farm replaced with 2 trains, which are making us a small fortune, which is excellent. And we also started shipping tools. As you can see, we have a collection here waiting over to the city of Irricana, which is over to the north up that way. Now in this episode, my plan is to start shipping some food up to this freight yard as well, because Airdrie, the city here, has a demand for food, so we could satisfy that. I've also spotted we have a farm here, so I'm also quite tempted to add a fifth platform onto this freight yard here and have some wagons just make their way over here to deliver food to the interchange, and then have a train which will then take the food onto its onward journey and deliver it into here. So we have an extra supply of, I said food, I mean wheat, an extra supply of wheat to the food processing plant here. So let's bring up the UI, there we go. As we can see, we have around about £8.5 million to play with, which is going to be more than enough to get this accomplished. Obviously, for the most part, we have the network in place, although we are going to need a few passing loops on this stretch between Calgary and Irricana. We're going to need a truck station here, so our road vehicles can collect the wheat and drop it off here. And we're also going to need extra platforms on here. Perhaps not today. We do have 4 platforms available, and only one of them is in use, so we have 3 spares. So we could have the train that's going to collect the wheat use one of the extra platforms, and then just add further platforms on in the future when we start delivering further goods. We also have enough platform space to get the bread delivered into Airdrie as well. That would leave us with 1 spare platform here, so when we look to deliver the fuel and the machinery, we will obviously need at least the extra platforms at that point, but for now we shouldn't need them, so I think we can get away with it. Now before I get started on that, I just want to quickly run over the centre of these tracks at this station with the ballast paint tool, just to eliminate the strip of grass that is growing between these 2 tracks, because this is meant to be a fairly busy station, and the grass would not grow if they had trains running over them constantly as we're intending to have. So just to make it look a bit more realistic, we'll paint over the grass, and that gives it a look of a station that's in constant use, which is what we're hoping for. Okay, so to get started then, we'll get a few passing loops put in first on this stretch of the line between Calgary and Irricana freight interchange. So we'll put one, I think we'll put one just here, just after this little bridge, and we'll try and keep it high speed so the trains don't lose any sort of speed or suffer any sort of slowdown. Obviously our trains cannot go 75 miles an hour yet, but one day they will, and if we can future-proof this now so there's no slowdown for those newer, faster trains, then it's worthwhile doing. So we'll do that. Again, while we're here, just quickly go over the ballast in the middle just to freshen it up and eliminate that grass there. We've had some ballast creep up the side of the hill there, which I don't really want, so just use the erase tool and get rid of that. There we go. So let's get some signals for this passing loop. We'll have a signal just there and one at the other end to marshal the traffic and the trains in and out of the passing loop. Let's go ahead and just put another one here as well, I think. I think this time we'll keep it, we don't have much space, so if I aim for 50 being the lowest speed on the junction, that should be good enough. And where is our junction? It's there, so if we have the second point here, try and aim for 70, there we go. That gives us another passing loop, not the biggest, but for now it's going to be big enough. None of our trains are long enough to cover both ends of that passing loop at the moment, so shouldn't be a problem yet, but in the future we may want to revisit that and extend it, although when we get to that point it's likely that this entire section of track will be double tracked anyway. But on the off chance it isn't, we must remember to extend this passing loop once we have very long trains. Okay, let's put a further passing loop here as well. The more the merrier. It reduces the chance for the trains to get slowed down. Let's just take that back a little ways. There we go. And we'll have this run just this right hand curve here, and we'll bring it back in over here like so. 65 is more than adequate. Signals, there we go, one there and one all the way back here. And in fact I think we could afford to put a midpoint block on this passing loop as well, because it is quite long, sort of like that. And we'll do the same with the ballast paint. Just get rid of the grass that's growing between the tracks, because it doesn't look quite right. Not if this is a busy line. I mean, if this was a infrequent line, then sure, you could leave the grass there to kind of show that it's not a track that's used all too often, but this one will be, so there wouldn't be any opportunity for the grass to spring through, so we'll get rid of it. Okay, I think that's good enough there. So what we'll do now is we'll see about setting up a road delivery system to get this wheat over to the interchange. So we'll want a truck station, but we only need one platform, because yes, only one platform, and we'll put it out here, sort of like that, and then we're going to want an extra station entrance there, and then we'll just drop the road in, nice and easy, just like so. We'll do the same on this side, so let's extend this road out a bit and then connect. That'll do. For now, that will do. So we'll call this Irricana Farm, so we know what we're dealing with. And then we want our trucks. Okay, the residential section's up here, so the trucks can just run this way. It shouldn't be too much of an inconvenience for the town. And then we'll just have them drop off wheat on any of these platforms. Here we have more than enough to work with. Let's get some waypoints down here so we can get greater control over which way our trucks are entering and exiting this station, to avoid any looping and doubling back and that sort of thing. Okay, so you've opted for that platform, which is fine. So if you come out that way, although I'd rather you didn't just go straight back through there. So let's get a couple of waypoints down here as well, and then we can send him down this way, like this. Yep, that's fine. You want to be that colour. You're fully loaded with a 20 second wait time, and here you're not loading anything. You're just going straight back to the farm, running empty. That's fine. and this is wheat haulage, and it's Irricana. While I've got this line manager open, I think I'll also send this truck this way around, and then in this way so he doesn't loop over in this interchange as well. So tools delivery, if you come this way, there you go. Perfect. Okay, that's good to go. So now we can get some vehicles shipping this wheat. You can use this one. Perfect. And shall we say 20? There we go. Just give them a quick paint job and assign them on that line. Now this won't start producing any wheat yet because there's no demand for it in this area, which is at the moment is the wheat's final destination. So we need to get the train set up as well. So let's first of all do the line. So you go from here over to here, and you are this colour. And at Calgary, can you use platform 1? So it's going to use the same platform as our existing wheat delivery, which is absolutely fine. And then for the rest of the journey is obviously coming this way, and we have a number of passing loops available. So the wheat train and the tool delivery train shouldn't trip over themselves or be waiting around for one another too much. And we'll go for 60 seconds. Yeah, 60 seconds. And we want to make sure that you only take wheat with you. You don't want to accidentally bring any tools back or anything like that. And then when you get to Calgary, you are loading nothing. There you go. So just name this line Wheat Freight Irricana to Calgary. There we go. Now we can get the train on this line. We just put an extra line here from this depot out to this line like so. Check the overlap, that's okay. There you go. And you should be able to come out of this depot without any problem. So last time we used the Leviathan. We also have the NCRR running on the map. So I'm going to go back to Baldwin for this train, I think. Just to keep it varied, and we'll want, yes, we want gondolas. Should we go for 7 for this one? That's 35 miles per hour across the board. And it's got decent acceleration on the flats. It gets to its top speed in about a minute. So that should be pretty good. We'll just have the one train running for now. There we go. Yes, he can get to both his stations without any issues whatsoever, so that's good. And that should have prompted the production of wheat over here. Doesn't look like it has yet. Just accelerate the game just a little faster, and we should start seeing wheat being produced here. Everything is interlinked, and I do believe I've got my vehicles set up correctly. Oh, here we go, look, we now have one of 200 out for shipment. Don't know if that's on one of our wagons yet. It isn't, but it should start appearing on the platform very soon. Here we go, it's now kicking in nicely. We just quickly drop back over here. We can take a look at our new train while he's just waiting at this signal for clearance on the block ahead. Just climb upwards just a touch. Nice looking train as before with the, I think it was the plank train. There's also a Baldwin. Just sat nicely and patiently waiting. Here comes the wheat train that he's currently being held up by. We can see him just climbing the hill now and coming around the corner. So that should free up the block for this train to move forwards. There we go. So we'll take a short ride on this train into Calgary, just to give everything else a chance to catch up and start production. Obviously I am talking about the wheat farm over in Irricana. Not sure why he opted to switch line then switch back. He could have carried straight on, but regardless, he's where he needs to be. What are we waiting for here? I guess we're waiting for clearance at the bridge, would be my guess. I'm not sure. Oh no, he's on the way. So now he's going to be hopefully heading towards a load of wheat. Yes, we have some at the station ready, just 2 units. But that should start to pick up once this springs into a bit more action, which it seems to be now. We have some waiting. I think we probably have too many trucks on this line, if I'm honest. Perhaps I overestimated how active this farm would be. But we'll keep it for now, because once this train picks up a load of wheat and delivers it, it may prompt this farm to kick out a bit more production. In the meantime, what I want to do is send this wheat delivery or haulage line down this way so he doesn't loop on the station. So we'll do that quickly. So after the farm, go that way. That's better. So then they pass straight through. Okay. I think what we could do, what will prompt more production at the farm up here, is if we get the bread delivery line to Irricana up and running as well. So we could do that. So if we head back this way, just where I was, and we want to put in a unload point in Airdrie for the bread to be delivered to, which is here. And the bread is centered in this portion of town, so if we have a unload point there, and then we'll have a waypoint here so we can ensure our trucks go around this block before heading back out of town. Let's get that first bit of the line set. There, they should have really done that one first, but it makes no odds. In the long run, it's absolutely fine. And you want to be stopping for no more than 30 seconds. There you go. And you're only loading the food, and you can't load anything there anyway, so that's fine. What platform have you gone for? You've gone for that one. Okay. Let's swap you to platform 1. So you're going to come in like that. That's okay. But then you want to head out this way and then head that way. Just quickly pause. We have some unlocks. The American Stagecoach is as a passenger, a ship which we're likely not going to use for the near future. We also have the Eureka 440 and the Virginia and Truckee 440 and a passenger wagon. Obviously the passenger wagons aren't of use to us at this moment, but it won't be too long before we start seeing them in service. But for now, we're okay. So I think that's that line properly assigned and doing the right things on the stations, it seems to be. So let's just quickly give him a more appropriate name. Food delivery Airdrie. There we go. Get some trucks for this. We'll only have a small handful for the time being. Can you take food? No, you cannot. And a small handful for me is about 5. There you go. Put them on that line, and then we can set up another train line from Calgary Industrial Park over to Irricana Freight Exchange, which is going to be loading the food and shipping it over this way. So load food there, load nothing there, full if possible, and you are food, so you're that sort of colour. So I'll just name it before I do anything else. There we go. There's nothing else that needs to be done. That's all set. The colour is set. It's named. Oh, we might need to check the platform that it's been assigned to. So it's gone to that one, which should be okay. We have plenty of passing loops, so the trains can pass one another. I think just to hopefully help things along and flow a little smoother, I'm also going to put a midpoint block on this passing loop as well. Just like that. Probably isn't the space. Well, while our trains are small, there is space for one here. And we can always remove it later if it's too short a distance for our longer trains when we start running them. So now we can get a train for this line, and it gives us perfect opportunity to look at the new locomotives. So they were the Eureka and the Virginia and Truckee, both of which are comparable to the Baldwin, although both are a lot more powerful, but they're also a lot more expensive per year to run. So I think they might be too expensive for now, although if the line proves profitable we can always look to swap them out. So we have the Leviathan, we have the NCRR, we have the Jupiter. I think the Leviathan will be adequate. Do we want the Jet? Nah, I think the General's not quite powerful enough. I'm going to say we go for... Do you know what? I might go for the Eureka just because it's a new unlock. Yes, why not? And then we want the Gondola. No, the Boxcar. He's taking food. He's not taking grain. And that's a 6-wagon consist. How's his speed ratings? They're acceptable. So let's purchase him and put him on the food freight line. And let's see now what sort of effect this not only has here on production, but also on the farm by Irukana. Okay, so we have a few trucks with a full load, which is good to see. Don't think there's any others for full load. No, not that I can see anyway, but you know, hopefully with time that will change. What sort of profits are those lines making? Just extend that just a touch. We only want the visible lines. The wheat haulage is running a negative, which is unfortunate, but hopefully that will soon change. Just want to check here. Yes, I thought that had happened. The line is sharing with the tool freight line, which isn't the end of the world, but I'd probably prefer if they didn't do that. So I'm going to get the line manager and swap food over to platform 3. There we go. That's better, I'm happy with that. We need to keep an eye on this section of track now. We have 3 different lines and 3 different trains that are going to be using this section of track, so we want to make sure there's not too much hold up while the trains are waiting for clearance between the passing loops and in and out of the station as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. So I'm just going to accelerate the speed once more. While that's accelerating and settling in, I think it's probably not a bad idea to see if our buses warrant an upgrade to the new stagecoach. Let's see. Right, our profitable bus is the Connect bus. It has a rate of 21 per year. I think if any line was going to be upgraded, it would be the connection service between Calgary and Southwest. How much would it cost to swap them out? 194,000, and what's the increase in costs? About 1,500, and the profit margin was around about 1,000. Okay. I'm going to do it. It might turn this line into a loss leader, but as I've often said with my bus lines, that isn't a deciding factor as such as it is with our freight lines. Your freight is the money earner. For me, the bus lines are just to clear the passengers, clear the citizens off the road and also to get them out to any larger public transport systems you have, such as a train or an airport. So if they make a bit of a loss, it is what it is. So our food train has his first load, not much, only 2, but it's a start, which says that everything's connected as it should be. So let's have a quick look. Eureka and Palisade. Very sleek looking train, very shiny, nice and clean. That won't last long, will soon be very dirty, I'm sure. And he's not doing too badly up this gradient here, which, if I recall, when we set this line up, this was one of the steeper gradients on this section of track. So to see him coping and managing to do about 30 miles an hour is pleasing to see. Let's get the time running fast again, so we can check our lines are bedding in nicely and things are starting to kick in. Starting with the farm. Okay, you're still only having 31 out for shipment. Now, I'm hopeful that in the not too distant future, this will start calling for more wheat. I mean, we could help it along by increasing the delivery rate into Calgary. As we can see, we're hitting about 50. They're calling for 73. So if we were to add a handful, say 2 or 3 extra trucks onto the delivery line, that might help. So let's do that. Let's select the line. We have 12. If we'll go for 15 total, so that's an extra 3. And that should increase, obviously, the delivery rate and also the production rate here. And we'll see if that, in turn, kicks this farm into higher rates of production. I mean, we are, like I said, we are getting fewer and fewer empty wagons, and we do have some. Oh, they're not fully loaded, they just look full because they have 2 on the back. Let's see what sort of money they're making now. Okay, so it's still running at a loss, but it's not as bad as it was. The food delivery is running at a negative, but we've only had our first delivery in the past few minutes, I believe. Yes, where's the train gone? Oh, he's made it all the way back here already. How much did dropping off 2 food make us? Do you know what? 2 units of food made us nearly 50,000. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. So we have a bit of a hold up here, but that's to be expected. I mean, this is intended to be a very busy interchange and freight hub, so having, you know, trains waiting to come in and out isn't, you know, out of the realms of realism, so I can live with that. As long as the lines are still profitable, that's the major concern. Which this train notwithstanding, but it's not really kicked into full flow yet. They are still profitable. I mean, this is the main one here, isn't it? The wheat delivery from Cochrane Farms, and that's still making $500,000. So again, just waiting for trains to clear the blocks, and I believe then he will set off on his way. I mean, we could do a bit of prompting by putting some some 2-way signals up here, so the trains pull forward as far as the signals and wait there, like so. Who's going to have clearance, him or him? Clearly this train has clearance. As soon as he clears this switch here, he will then set off. So far it's working well. Let's check what effect adding the 3 extra trucks onto this line has done for our rate. So it's bumped it up to 62, and that should be reflected here. Not yet. Suppliers, so that's increased slightly, but if you check over here, that should show our trucks carrying more. Not yet. Okay, that's slightly disappointing. I was hoping that would have taken effect by now, but it hasn't, but maybe it just needs a bit more time. We could also start shipping the food over to northwest Calgary and maybe Chestermere, which will obviously kick in or increase production here, which will mean they have a greater demand for the wheat. I mean, this platform is starting to reduce here. This was permanently overflowing before, so it has had an effect in that regard. I think it's probably worth getting a line set up over to northwest Calgary, so that will increase the demand for grain over here. I mean, to be fair, they are almost in the upgrade area now, which they weren't previously, and it has done a bit of upgrading, not made it the full way yet, and I think we could help it on its way by putting a line over to northwest Calgary, if I'm honest. So let's see how we want to arrange that. I think the simplest option is a bridge directly over the river here. That's relatively flat and straight, and then another road, sorry, heading over there. And then if we get an unload point here, a few waypoints just so we can navigate our trucks around this city. Oh no, we don't need another platform. We have one here where we had the wheat being dropped off initially, so that's okay. So in theory, we should just be able to set this up without any issues. We want 30 seconds. And you only take food. Yep, all good. Food delivery to, what's this, northeast Calgary. Like that. And then let's get some vehicles running this. Not going to need many for now, again, probably about 5 should do. Can always tweak the numbers later on. Let's just do some line manipulation here so he's not messing around on the platform. So come this way out, yeah. You've already done what I want you to do up there, so that's okay. Okay, let's see what sort of... There we go, he's upgraded. That's excellent. That's upgraded even further now. So it's all having a good knock-on effect downstream. Yes, and we're starting to get full loads, or at least we have one full load out on the road. And that should hopefully now become a more common occurrence, because we have a level 2 industry here, which is obviously going to require more grain than before. I mean, we could also add extra wagons onto this line. Perhaps an extra wagon per train should be okay. But I'd rather see this go into full flow. I mean, this is doing more than enough for us at the minute. It's profitable. Where's our profit for this one? It has dropped somewhat. I think that's just because every now and then the trains might be waiting for other trains to clear platforms. And now we've just made a delivery. It's gone back up to its old numbers of around 500. What we're waiting for here, okay, we've just got a bit of slow down again, just while trains come and go over this little stretch here. I wonder if it's worth having another passing loop just here, because I have a feeling that if there was a train here waiting to go this way, he wouldn't get clearance until the train he's waiting on has got as far as this passing loop. So just to guarantee that, what do we have here? Oh, third rail tracks. Oh, that's a mod, yes. I was confused for a second there. Yes, that's a US themed mod where we have the electrified third rail option. Perhaps don't need it just yet, but that's what it looks like. So, as I was saying, if we have another loop here, it may ensure that the trains get moving a little bit faster. Let's get the signals for this loop put in. One there and one over here. And then we'll just paint over the middle of the ballast. Just nice and quick. There we go. So, oh, it's already slowed down to 1/4 speed. That's excellent. So as we can see, we're getting a lot of tools now being produced and waiting here. So we could extend our tool delivery train, which is not that one. Where is it? Here it is. He's profitable every year except the occasional one. Let's just edit the vehicle, and I want to make sure it doesn't slow this down too much. Yeah, that's fine. He may as well have one extra wagon. I don't think it's going to be enough to clear the platform, but we clearly have surplus production, so may as well take advantage. As you can see, we have a decent amount of food waiting for the northeast delivery route, which is this one here. In fact, speaking of which, it might be an idea to upgrade these trucks to the covered wagons, because they have increased capacity. That's going to help throughput. Let's see how we're doing on our rates. So now we're hitting 62. Calgary asks for 56, 76. What I want to make sure I don't do is overburden the line by having too many trucks due to the increased capacity of these new wagons. But the only way to find out is to do it. So we can swap them out. And if needs be, we can always get rid of one or two if we have overdone it in terms of line capacity and line rate. That's jumped up to 78. And your demand was 76, so it's there or thereabouts, so it should be okay. Although I do think that initial 78 rate was just an estimate. It might change, but we'll keep an eye on it. Let's go back over to the farm. There you go, those numbers are looking a lot healthier. And as you can see, we have a lot more fully loaded trucks. In fact, from what I can tell, most of our trucks now are fully loaded that have just left. At least these three are, as is this one. This one isn't, however, so it's not guaranteed that they will be fully loaded, but we have more full capacities than we did previously, which is obviously an improvement and pleasing to see. What's that done to the finances for this line? There we go. We were profitable for a split second, but we're hovering around profitability now, which is excellent. And in terms of our lines over here, how are we doing? So this one is still not profitable, but I think that should start changing. As we can see, we have a lot of food, a lot of wheat waiting for the train to be picked up. Where is the train? Is that him? Nope. Here he is, he's on the bridge. Yes, he's just waiting for this train to make his way onto the platform and unload, and then he'll do the same. Obviously, he is holding up our planks delivery train. So in the near future, we might want to just do a slight rework on this, insofar as we could have this bridge here double tracked, although that wouldn't address him being held up, to be fair, so. But that should be him freed up now. So now he's going to have to wait, although he should have a clear run onto his platform, which should send him on his way pretty quickly. Yep, there we go, he should start moving now. So it's not flowing too badly, it could be better, and it will need some optimization, but for the initial start, it's making us money. We're still profitable overall by $1 million. And all our lines are now profitable as well. I think we could get rid of one wagon. As we can see, that wagon has never been loaded. So we'll drop one off. There we go. Even still, he's not getting a full load yet. But there's no point running an empty wagon that's never been used. It's just costing money. Things are still looking good over here. The wheat haulage line is now comfortably profitable, so everything's working as intended and things looking good. So on that note, I think that's the place to end this episode. I think in the next episode we might want to have a look at how we can perhaps make this a bit more smooth and free flowing, so there's less hold-ups for our trains getting in and out of this station. I mean, it's not negatively impacting our earnings, we're still profitable, which is the main thing. That aside, we can also perhaps also start getting food to Southeast Calgary and Chestermere, and I think to get it to Chestermere, I think just a road delivery line is going to be good enough. We can always, once these start expanding, we can always have a bypass system so the trucks delivering the food don't have to go through these two cities, which they would do at present. Southwest Calgary, that could just be a straight shot over the river, and again, if needed, a bypass around Calgary over into the industrial park. And then from there on out, what do we have over here that we could start connecting? We have a lot of farms available. We could have like a central cargo hub in the middle, which these industries here all feed into, and then have just a handful of trains running out to where the raw materials are being processed, such as the oil refinery and the food plant. That would mean we don't have a million trains all heading in here. In fact, that might not be a bad idea overall. We'll see. But yeah, I want to perhaps use some sort of big interchanges, almost like a warehouse system that you have in Railway Empire, where it goes to a central point and then gets delivered on from there. We'll see if we can set something like that up, and if it's feasible, it should be. But yes, as I said, I think we'll call this episode here. I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and as always, all that remains for me to say is take very good care of yourselves. Ta-ta for now.